this is Michael Tomcany, Team WUNAX. Welcome to the Big Woo. Wanted to upload some pure Dracotail content. I know that branded Dracotail is the favored, and although it is really strong in its own right, there are subtle flaws, as there are with every strategy. With gaining the popularity, I definitely think the pure is a version that is worth looking into because it does more or less the same thing in all the other meta matchups while being able to have a strong mirror matchup. So I did want to get into a little bit of the content, put it out there for you guys. Looking at what we're playing, we're going to be playing the light and the dark end dragon version. The reason that we're playing this version is because they are free bodies and they play easier into cards like Retaliating Sea and Fualos, which typically can be pretty big problems for this deck. There's not a lot of cards in the format that are problems, but for Dracotail, some Kryptonite cards are Retaliating Sea and Fualos. And I will explain why it's easier to play around the Fualos, as well as the Retaliating Sea is as simple as each of these dragons have effects that allow you to fusion summon. So they're free bodies that allow you to fusion summon. It allows you to play the game without actually activating one of your two spell cards, triggering the Retaliating Sea. So it gives you gameplay without having to get hit with the Retaliating Sea. And by the time you get to activating one of your spells, the Retaliating Sea really isn't doing a whole lot. So that's why I like playing these. The same kind of concept applies to Cartesia. The reason I choose not to do the Cartesia is because it is an additional normal summon, and summoning the Malulu is infinitely better in my opinion, as well as in the standard combos that we use with the Dragon Lords here. The Lucius is a normal summon to get you into full combo. So we actually play Retaliating Sea, and I'll get to that in a little bit. And the line through Fualos is that you just simply, summon one of these guys, fusion summon away whatever Dracotail name. So you use one of them, and you can fusion summon using any of your Dracotail lineups here, along with any of your hand trap lineups. So as long as you have a name and a body, you're playing with one of these two cards here. So it just, with the heavy monster count, it almost always allows you for some sort of gameplay. And that being said, they are effective as dragons. So you just use one, make Arthalion, add back resources. If they were to fool you there and you have no way to stop it, that's one draw. You make seals, that's two draw. And now you have seals and traps, and you can do seals pass. So you're really not giving your opponent too many more resources, and you're setting up a lot of more for yourself. You should have ways to fuse on their turn, along with interactions with the traps and the seals. Another powerful tool with this version and the seals, which we'll get to when we do the side deck evaluation, is being able to play a floodgate card. It's 2025 YuGiOh, and floodgates are real. Konami took a step in the right direction to get rid of a lot of those floodgates, but we still have a couple left. This guy right here is really good into the Yummy and Mitsurugi variants. Lunalite, it's also really good into that. And even in the mirror, if you're playing a branded Dracotail version, there is a lot of times that this Drago, it can come up. If your opponent goes branded fusion and you seals bounce, even if it's your own guy, and bring out Drago, what are they going to make? Branded fusion is always going to fizzle once this guy hits the board. They also are not going to be able to go to Secretariat Dragon. There are lines in the mirror around the Drago, so it's not the best card by any means, but my point is the applicability that this card has, and a lot of the blowouts that it brings to the table by being able to play this card in the non-branded version. I've been tossed. I did want to talk about the traps in the main deck. For a while, as you guys probably saw my top 4 profile, and if you didn't, check out the Team WUNAX page. And check out my top 4 profile for the Minnesota Regional, where in there I only played 2 traps in the main and 1 in the side. Right now, I'm back with 3 in the main. I don't know if I want to say if it's correct or incorrect. I think at least 2 for sure, and 1 in the side. You want to have access to the 3 because they all have their own utility and applicability into the different matches. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to build this deck and get pretty much the same results. So as of right now, moving forward, I'm back to 3 in the main deck, but there is an argument that can go both ways in both directions. Flame is always non-negotiable. Flame's always going to be in the main deck 100% of the time, and either one of these 2, and personally I think Sting is better of the 2, or just the typical, most lists, I would say probably 90% of the lists at this point or better are playing the 3, and there's nothing wrong with that. The reason I was playing 2 was because I didn't want to see the trap. I wanted to set them. But there's also, it can work both ways. I think that either 2 or 3 is good. Playing 3 of each of these, I've attempted to play with this ratio, and it's just non-adjustable. Both of these are really good. They come up in a lot of different ways. Ketu is just an insanely broken card, and Rahu is really good. So for now, it's just always going to be 3 and 3 of these. Before we get any further, let's go through some of the hand traps and why. I know that a lot of this is kind of just known at this point, but Fualos is a god card in the format. There's really no discussion needed to be had. It should be in 3 of them every deck. Ash Blossom, I'm going to put next to it because this card has its good utilities and applicabilities, but mostly it's there to stop the Fualos. Also, really good into the branded Dracotail match or any Dracotail match. It stops all the traps. It stops all the spells. It stops branded fusion. It's been doing that for a long time, and now that it's back, it gets to do it all over again. So good on Ash. I think that Bell right now is really good. I've seen some deck lists moving Bell into a side deck card, saying that it's just not great value. But I think that even though it doesn't hold the value that some other cards like a Fualos would, that it still is good enough to be into a main deck because of its wide versatility. It's got a good application against every deck in the format, every single deck. So it doesn't stop the Charmies like Ash does, but otherwise it's almost better than Ash. So in my opinion, it is. So it's definitely a 3 for me. Droll and Lockbird is debatable. I think as long as the MITSURUGI cards are popular and Lunalight is in the back, I think that Droll and Lockbird should be in the main. Also, you have room in the pure version to play 16 hand traps plus the 5 manas. So when you get down to it and you're like, what's the 13th, 14th, 15th slot gonna be? I think Droll is just a really good option. And when you look at building the side deck and you say, well, what would I put in place of Droll? There's not really much there. So for that reason, I think Droll will stay in my main deck for now because there's just not anything that I see as a good replacement. And there is an argument that I could put in 3 more Charmies in place of it. I think that's like the only argument that could be had. But I'm not a big fan of going first with 6 Charmies in my deck. And yes, there's, Arthalion, you can use it to make Dracotails, recycle everything back. This deck does play dead cards well, monster cards well, but I still don't like it. I think having additional Charmies on the side is fine and, probably the correct call. So that being said, I think Droll is still a powerful card, and it is in the main deck for that reason. Nibiru for my 13th, 14th, 15th slot. Nibiru for me on paper just doesn't seem so good, especially in this large Dracotail format that we're just moving more and more into. Nibiru is disrespected and it goes off, and I think it's very powerful into like yummy variations because you can wait for Herald to hit the board and then 1-for-1 trade with the Herald, as long as they're not set up with like a Samsara cat or something. But there's also application that you can use it sooner. And there's other really niche situations that it comes up and it is really good. It might not be the greatest in a Dracotail, but you got to think too, like if you're going first, setting up a board with Dracotail, they have to play through all of your stuff and then still try. If they still try to push for game and get greedy, then you drop Nib on them, stop them in their tracks. Then you can bring your guys back and create a situation where you can just have game on board right after dropping a Nib after they've played through everything. So I think Nib's not so good going first into a Dracotail match, but in a mirror match going second, it can come up and can be devastating. And for the 16th card, it's Bystial Magnemite. I think Bystial Magnemite is an absolutely insane card. This thing comes up in all kinds of different scenarios, in branded Dracotail, and then especially with MITSURUGI being able to take out the Murakumo. Magnemite is just, it's too good of a card not to play. Let me roll back real quick, because I don't think I talked about Malice at all yet, and I did want to bring up Malice. Ash not so good against Malice. If you're up against Malice, I think the only really two good spots that you should use Ash on is the Chessie Cat to stop them from gaining 2 more cards, or wait for them to pass their turn and attempt to use it on their MTP07 to stop from a non-targeting banish on your field. Bell can come up in a lot of situations in the Malice match. If you time a Bell correctly, it can pump their brakes. Nibiru is the same way. If you time the Nibiru correctly, Malice can end up just passing in a lot of situations. Magnemite is always able to be summoned. It might not be the greatest card into Malice. Also, Droll and Lockbird is a card that can definitely, when used, put them on a half board, and Dracotail thrives in a half board scenario. So these also these do things against Malice. But when we get to the side building, I want to talk about something that I'm doing with Malice as well. So that is kind of a hand trap analysis there, a little discussion talk about that. I don't really need to go into much about the names. I think there's enough profiles, there's enough knowledge out there about the names. I'm currently on 2 Urgla and 2 Pan because I play pure. I have more room and I want the versatility. 3 Pan is awesome. And before, I think this card was good at 3 because of Filia Regis, which is this gal right here. Because Pan is a level 7, it allows you to use your Arthalion or any dragon monster and Pan to make Regis to get Pan effect. But one of the other benefits about running these guys is they're level 8 dragons, so you can use these guys also to make Filia Regis, which is pretty awesome.
Black Friday is live and Duel & Guard is dropping their biggest deals of the year. Buy 2, get 1 free, plus up to 40% off qualifying products like the Player Series boxes and the 1-player playmats. Use the link at the top of the description to get an extra 15% off, exclusive only here. Whether you're grinding regionals or styling on locals, this is the perfect time to upgrade your setup before everything sells out. Duel & Guard and Team WUNAX. Crafted for competitors. Chosen by the X.
Let's go into the extra deck real quick. In the extra deck, because Seals is just so good. Seals is an amazing card. So we play the Spirit. If you have to normal summon Lucaeus and use the Lucaeus to go into the Spirit, to go into the Seals, it's just an option that's there to keep you able to go to Seals. I think just about every game that I'm summoning Seals, I'm winning. So it's just too good of a card. And Seals, they could save the Ash for it. But if you know your opponent has an Ash Blossom, or they're giving you like a read that they have an Ash Blossom, you can set it up in a way where you have 5 mana in hand, and you go Seals effect, chain 5 mana, and you send your bodies, and then since seals is a mandatory effect, it's always got to be chain link 1, and then your other trigger effects to set spell and traps can chain block any kind of ash or impulse that would be had for that seals. So in the event that you're up against a deck that Quaking Mirror Drago is a blowout and you're fearful of an impulse or an ash blossom, say against Malice, they normal summon, you bounce their card with seals, chain your Phimena or a Malulu or whatever you have that's able to respond to fuse, and you can chain block the whole thing so they can't ash or impulse you. You bring out Drago, you have back row here to protect, and then you're probably summoning a Gulumel next to it with the Phimena or a Malulu, and allowing you to be able to pop opponents' monsters and just sit there and protect the Drago. And every time you do that, it's just a win. SP, a lot of people say SP doesn't come up. SP doesn't come up very much, but SP definitely does come up. I've had weird game states where I've needed to SP away a card, especially like in mirror matches, weirdly enough. But before you get into your Rahu and Malulu plays, if you have the ability, if you can't play around their flame and you SP away their flame, then what you're doing is trying to exhaust your opponent's resources and prevent them from gaining resources back while setting up your board. So you're going to get yourself into a grind game. This deck, you really shouldn't always think about how do I win right away. Think about how can I maintain my resources and deplete my opponent's resources so that during the grind, you inevitably win. And that's where SP shines, I think. Another link I have is Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep's also very good. It doesn't come up as much as I'd like it to, and I always think that I should bring it up more. But being able to link 2 bodies away, even if it's a hand trap like a Wallows or an Ash Blossom, and summon the Cross Sheep with a Fusion Engrave, bring the Fusion back, and then summon back a Lucius or a Malulu to continue your gameplay. It definitely has a deserved spot in the extra deck, especially when I'm not playing branded cards. And then lastly, a good buddy of mine, Luka Kovac. We actually just started talking, but shout out to you, Luka. We talked about this at Pittsburgh with the Crossroads Dragon, and I thought that was such a brilliant idea. So in the mirror, when you're dragon locked, so like in the mirror, we side deck Retaliating Sea, and we're going to get into that a little bit. You activate Retaliating Sea, now you have a Retaliating Sea on the board. If you have one of the light or dark end dragons in hand, and you're afraid of a set horn, you can special summon one of these. Now you're dragon locked because both of these guys dragon lock you. So to get out of it, you just link these away for Crossroads Dragon because it's a dragon, and then you play. So you out your Retaliating Sea and play. So really, these 3 cards, the SP, the Cross Sheep, and the Crossroads, always give you a way to out your own Retaliating Sea. So, but we will talk about side deck here very shortly. That's it for the links. For the XYZs, we just play the whole Harbinger. It's part of your end board piece. It's part of your combo. It's spell and trap, or it's a spell negate, and it stops your opponent from attacking monsters that you don't want them to attack. So you can redirect the attack to him, and it's just another spell negate. And spells are really good this format. So having this in a flame allow for 2 spell negates, and that's insane. For the names, for fusions, it's 3 Arthalion. I just don't know about going. There's no point in going any less, especially in order to summon these 2. You have to banish a level 8 fusion, and it's got to be a dragon fusion. So Arthalion's a dragon fusion. So your level 8 dragon fusions are just about every one of them except the Gulumel, and since we have room, we play 2 Gulumel. And for the other level 8 dragons, we're on 2 Secretarion now. I was on 1. I think 2 is definitely needed, and it comes up. If your opponent in the mirrors, especially as much popularity as Dracotail's gaining, they out the 1, you have another 1. If you have the room for it, I definitely think it's a 2 of. And even if you're tight with branded cards, I think that the card's still a 2 of. Philia Regis, and lastly, Chaos Star Source Dragon. Both these cards are absolutely insane. A lot of the times this will be the one banished for the effects of the light and dark end dragons to bring them out, but there are a lot of other game states that this card comes up and is just really good to clear your opponent's resources and get them to interact with you prior to using your core interaction cards to set up board field presence or a deal game. So I think everything here is very necessary. And then we will jump into the side deck. There's not a lot that's needed in the side deck. I think Lancia, because your deck is built in a way that it really is good into mirror matches. It's good into MITSURUGI. Like going into them with just the main deck is pretty good. I think the one thing that the deck could use a little boost on is things like Malice. There is a world that these do something against Crystron, which I don't think is so relevant this format. And then Lunalight, but you really just you want to stop Lunalight. There's no out to Liger, so you just want to stop them from being able to make a Liger. So there is a world that you put Lancias in to stop that as well. But really it's a blowout for Malice. And another blowout card that we're playing is the Retaliating Sea and One Contact Sea. Retaliating Sea is insane in the mirror match, and it doesn't really do much against you because you have so many ways to out your own Retaliating Sea. So you can side this in going first or second against the mirror matches, because you set up a board, they can't clear your board under your own when you Retaliating Sea them, or they go first and you just see them and they got to deplete all their resources, and then you just play on from there. The other thing where the Contact Sea is, if they go Branded Fusion and you chain Ret Sea, and then they go into the Chaos Star Source Dragon and they pop the Ret Sea, then you add the Contact Sea. And the moment they summon anything, you just drop this, and then it's just over. They can't play anymore. Same with Rahu, Malulu, everything that fusion locks you. They out the one card, then this card just pumps the brakes completely. They cannot play anymore. Again, I was talking with Luca, and he was citing a couple more copies of this going first because it is really good. Going first right now, I think that is a good call. And for now, that's just where I'm at as well. I think that having going from 3 to 5 copies going first just allows you to be able to see your setup, your end board more consistently while playing through all of the cards that would be used to stop you. Drago is the blowout. I side in 3 Meows. Meows is really good in the MITSURUGI Yummy, and as long as that deck is in the format, and Malice, as long as those decks are still in the top, we'll say the top 5 decks, I think Meows is definitely has a deserved spot in the side deck because it's just so good against the MITSURUGI Yummy and Malice matches. I don't have the other Bystials with me, but I did want to talk about the results from Pittsburgh, the first place list, Aditya. He was playing those Bystials, and I do think that there is merit for that. There is, I think that they can come up. I don't know if I'm going to do that moving forward, just because I think that Dracotail keeps pushing more and more representation, and they're not as good into that. They have some application against the branded version too. So there is an option there to have 2 or 3 more Bystials outside of Magnuma in your side deck. I don't think it's incorrect, and it's something that's worth looking into. Another card that I wanted to talk about theory with is Crossout Designator. With as much Dracotail that's going around, this card just kind of stops whatever that you need it to stop in the mirror match. Whatever they try to do to you, you're playing the same cards. Being that it's the most represented deck, that's when Designator shines the brightest, is when it's played against the most, used in the most represented deck. So this is kind of like just a deck discussion in theory. I think that because of the timing on this video, we're going to cut it short here, and I will release a combo video with a couple different variations of combos, just kind of standard things, but a little bit more visual for anyone who wants to get better or see how Pure plays. Well, we have branded content as well, so I would say check out the branded content, check out all the other content. Shout out to the Big Woo, and appreciate everybody watching the video, everybody that is a part of the team that's able to put these videos out. I appreciate all of you, and yeah, this is Mike signing out. Till the next one.